That's the scale ratio. Next question. In 2000, the balance on the Martin credit card increased by 50%. In 2001, the balance increased again by 30%. So how does the balance at the end of the 2001 compare to the balance at the beginning of 2000? So here is the beginning of 2000. The beginning of 2000. And this is the beginning of 2000, and this is the end of 2000, and this is going to be end of 2001. So in this, from 2000 beginning to end of the 2000, the balance increased by 50% increase, and again in the beginning of 2001 to the end of the 2001, balance again increased by 30%. So from here to here, from 2000 to beginning to 2001 end, how much the balance increase altogether? That's what you're going to find, how much increase from here to here. That's what the question is looking for. How does the balance at the end of the 2001 compare to the balance at the beginning of 2000? That's the question. So we didn't know what's the balance at the beginning of 2000. So we should say, hey, at the beginning, the balance is, let's say, $100. Okay, let's say. So if 50% increase of $100, and this amount after increase, this amount is going to be $150 now, because $100 at the beginning of 2000 times 0.50, it gives you $50. So total balance after 1 year in beginning of 2001 going to be $150, correct? Right? Because the increase by $50, increase by $50 here. Now from 2001 beginning to end of the 2001, how much increase again? It increased 30% of $150. Okay, which is $45. So end of 2001, the balance would be, well, how much? Balance would be $150 and increased by $45. The balance would be $195. So at the beginning of 2000, the balance is $100. After 2 years, the balance becomes $195. So how much percent increase? Obviously, $100 to $195 increase by how much? $95. Increase by $95. So this is how much percentage? Obviously 95%, because 95 increase from $100, right? Notice that $100 is reference value, increased by 95, which is 0.95, and this is as a percentage, is going to be 95%. So here, how does the balance at the end of the 2001 compare to the balance of at the beginning of 2000? Yes, the balance is increased by $95 in total from 2000 beginning to end of 2001. Next question. If your salary is 25% higher than mine, then how does my salary compare to your salary? So in this case, you can put your reference value. So in this case, you can put, let's say your salary is higher, so mine, then 25% more than mine. So let's say my salary my salary is $100, then your salary is 125 because 25% more than mine. That means your salary must be 25. So the question tells you, how does my salary compare to your salary? So obviously my salary is less. My salary is how much less? 25 less than what? Less than yours. So I'm comparing my salary to your salary. So I divide $25, which is less salary than yours, divided by your salary, which is how much your salary? 125 times 100%. So if you do the math here, you divide 25 by 125 times 100, and altogether gives you 20%. So my salary is 25% less than your salary, but your salary is 25% more than my salary. Okay, so answer is going to be, how does my salary compare to your salary? My salary is $25 less than yours. That means my salary is 20% less than your salary. Okay, next question. John is 3 times as heavy as his dog. Compare John and his dog in terms of percentage. You got to compare John and his dog in terms of percentage. So here John, as I said, John, okay. John equals 3 times his dog. In other words, John's weight is 3 times larger than his dog. 3 times is same as 300% of his dog. So again, John is 3 times heavier than his dog. That means John is 300% of his dog. That means John's weight is 300% of his dog weight. Okay, so 300% is same as 100 plus 200% of dog. So, and we can say here John is 200% more weight than his dog. In another word, John weight 200% more than his dog weight. That's the answer. The answer is going to be John weight is 200% more than his dog. That means John weight is 300% of his dog. It's same as saying John is 200% more weight than his dog. We can see this way. Let's say John weight is 100. John dog weight is 100. John weight must be what? 300, right? So how much more? This is going to be 200 more. So 200 is a difference between John dog and John, divided by the dog weight is 100 times 100%. That means it's going to be 200%. So we can say that John is 20% more weight than his dog. Okay. All right. So question number 43 now. Next questions. The retail cost of a computer is 27% more than its wholesale cost. I should add here saying compare retail cost and wholesale cost. That's why I want to add it. Okay, wholesale cost. So if you say retail cost of the computer is 25% more than wholesale cost, so how do you compare retail cost and the wholesale cost? So notice that more than here, after then you have wholesale cost. So wholesale cost is reference value. Okay, this is the reference value. Anything after then is reference value. So a retail cost here is going to be compared value. We call new value or compared value. Compared value. So there is the formula is this. I should say reference value is RV, compared value is CV. So you can say CV equals 100 plus P percent of RV. Since again that's the formula you can find in the notes or the book. CV compared value equals to 100 plus P percent of RV reference value, where P is how many percent more. So if you put the value of P, which is 27% of RV, which is going to be 127 of RV. So CV compared value is 127% of RV. So what is compared value? Is retail cost. Retail cost equals 127% of wholesale cost. Okay, that's the answer. So comparing retail cost and the wholesale cost, we can say that retail cost of the computer is 127% of wholesale cost. Okay, and this is same as saying the retail cost of the computer is 27% more than wholesale cost. And next questions. This is about percentage of percentage. You can see the question here. The measurements are made at two different times. Find the absolute changes and find the relative change. Round to the nearest tenth if necessary. The employment rate in Midtown a decade ago was 20%. This year was 24%. So the last decade ago it was 20%. Now it is 24%. So you got to find absolute change first. So absolute change equals 24% minus 20%. Again, this is decade ago. That's decade ago is reference value, and the 24% is a new value. Okay, now this year is 24%. This is a new value. So absolute change is going to be reference value minus new value, which is going to be 4%. We call absolute change is 4% is 4 percentage point. Percentage point. That's what we call. So absolute value as a percent, if you see absolute value as a percent, you can call as that many percentage points. Okay. So how would the relative change? Relative change equals to how much changes here? 4% changes divided by a reference value, which is 20%, times 100%. So again, this percent cancel. 4 divided by 20 times 100. You do math here. You get 20%. So this 20% is called relative change. But absolute change is going to be 4 percentage point. Relative change is going to be 20%. So that's the answer. Okay.